Hi there. Neil here, the Twisted Lightworker. Video number 2 of the series of what it means to be put on the armor of God. It's actually very metaphysical. It's deep. It's not just sitting down and reading a Bible and praying with some words. There's much more to it on the energetic level. The years that I've studied metaphysics, dabbled in quantum physics, Toltec and various other forms of thought, taken countless courses on meditation and awakening certain aspects of yourself. It's deep. It's definitely not just a quick word in a prayer. There's some thoughts involved in it. There's intent. And there's a big difference between intention and intent. But in this video, we're going to focus on one aspect of putting on the armor of God. And that's being in the moment. It's really a lot more difficult than people think it is. Because we're in our heads most of the time. We've been taught to reason. We don't listen to our intuition anymore. We've been taught to shut it off, and everything had to have a solution that can be reasoned into being. But when to spark the power of your intuition, we have to be aware of a whole lot more than just what's in our thoughts. Be aware of where you are in the moment, who you are in the moment. Be consciously aware that you are conscious. Yeah. Be consciously aware that you're conscious. So there's some steps that we can do that will help that. And there's some concepts that I'll share with you in this video that will hopefully shine a little bit of light on it. You see, we have to be aware of where we are and be aware of our surroundings and be aware of what's going on with the corruption in the world and be aware of what our neighbors are doing, but be aware of who you are in the moment. So we have to beware and be aware. Beware, we want to be wary of all of the corruption that's going on, because common sense would dictate if our thoughts avoid it and we put our head in the sand, then the weeds in the garden are going to continue to grow. So we have to beware of all of the evil that's out there and be on guard for that. And one of the first things is being in the moment. Ground yourself in this world. Be here right now. Living in the moment. If we take a look at a timeline, the timeline goes across the page like this, and we're heading this way. So this is where you are, right here, right now. But there's some things that we have to be aware of. When we're here in the moment, there's many, many things, thousands of things that we could do. And all of those are potential trajectories of where our life can go. You may decide to just throw your arms up, sell everything, give away what you don't sell, jump on a plane, take the money that you've got and move to a different city and start a whole new life all over again. Drop everything, leave your friends behind and everything. That is one of the possible trajectories. And that's why we have to be aware of what we're consciously thinking about and be aware of the neighborhood that we're in and be aware of what's going on around us, as well as, most importantly, as be aware that we are consciously aware. Be conscious in the fact that you are right here, right now. And when we do that, we're going to find that we can accomplish many different things. Let me just get the next image here. I'm a little slow at using this. There we are. See, when we're consciously aware of what we're doing, and we're aware of who we are right here in the moment, that is when we can start to build a new man from the inside out. No longer running from who we are on the inside. That's a major part of this great awakening. When you start to do that, you're actually putting on the armor of God and becoming more powerful in yourself. Much more powerful in yourself. Let me grab the next one here. And this one here is extremely important. We want to be aware. We definitely want to be seen. When you stand in your power, you don't cower. You don't cower from the world. You don't cower from your integrity of who you are. You become aware of your habits, and you work on eliminating them. And you become aware of your virtues, and you work on being stronger at them. And if you want to develop a virtue that someone else has, admire that virtue and see yourself developing those characteristics. You see, in truth, we are so much more powerful and much greater than we think that we are. What we want to do is magnify who we are in the moment. And when we do that, we shift the vibrations around us. We literally shift the vibrations around us. When you're in a really, really good mood and you're powerful and you feel excited to be here on the planet right here, right now, in the moment. When you walk into a building and there's other people sitting there and you've got some friends sitting there and they're in an argument and you can tell that they're not having a good day. If you walk over there and you don't change the vibrations that you're in that powerful moment, you'll shift theirs. You'll change the vibrations in the room just by your presence. That's putting on the armor of God. When you feel the negativity and then you cower because of it, you didn't put on the armor of God, did you? You didn't remain in your power. Remaining in your power is a discipline. It's an action. It's not very simple. It takes practice. So putting on the armor of God is staying in tune with the most powerful part of your being. And like I said in video number 1, we have to remember that we are loved beyond imagination, far beyond imagination. 100 trillion cells in your body, and every single one of them is your friend, and therefore you are never alone. 100 trillion friends right there with you. And when we're aware of being in the moment and we're grounded to the planet, and we're grounded to our environment, we can be cognizant of all of the corruption and the hatred and the negativity that surrounds us, but we don't let any of those things take us off our stand. We remain steadfast, standing in our power. So dare to be seen. Don't cower. Dare to be seen. Let me grab the next one. This fits. A famous quote by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. But who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high victory, and who at the worst he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. Daring greatly. So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat. I should have moved that over so you could read the whole thing. Anyway, I will shrink it if you want to do a screen capture for it. You'll be able to do that. Cover myself. How's that? So when we put on the armor of God, and we dare to be seen, and we dare to magnify our virtues, we literally can transform not only who we are, we in so doing transform all those around us just because our vibrations. Remember, one of the things I said in video number 1, I hope you watch it. Thoughts are things. An EEG machine, they hook electrodes up to your head and they can monitor your brain waves. They're frequencies, they're vibrations. And because of my metaphysical background and training, I understand they create our reality. So when you're afraid to look at the evil, or you're afraid to question what's really going on around you, guess what you're doing? You're cowering. You're hiding from your own magnificence. We don't want to hide from our own magnificence. We want to radiate it with power. We want to radiate it with enthusiasm. And if we stumble and fail, we just get up and give her shit again. Absolutely. Because it's a discipline. It's a practice. Putting on the armor of God, it's a discipline. It's a practice. It's not something that can be just done by a quiet prayer and down on your knees. Nah. You do that to help yourself ground and bring your power into your center of your soul. Recognize that the center of the universe is in the center of you. And that's a whole other topic. We'll get into it in the next one. So we're going to move on to the next video or the next picture when I figure it out. But here we are. There we are. This is fun. This is fun. We got to remember, don't take ourselves so seriously. I have a problem with that because I'm an analytical person by nature. And analyzing things is actually fun for me, which doesn't make sense to people who are not analytically inclined. But thinking, to me, is a lot of fun. But yet at the same time, being the twisted light worker, I like to do silly things. That's why I start this video with that little goofball picture of myself in the first 30 seconds of the video. You might have missed it. Happened so quick. But the thing of it is I like to play. I like to be artistic. I like to be silly. Years ago, I did a bunch of talks, and I had a green screen behind me, and I put myself on the moon with my talks. I call them my moon talks, just for the fun. I will put the link down below because everything that I said in those moon talks, I did in 2017, a number of years back. I had never heard of NESARA GESARA. And now I realized that I must have been in tune with what's coming because everything in those videos is actually part of NESARA GESARA. So, what we want to do is go to the next one. Hang on a second. I promise you my speed will get better and better at doing this. So once again, like I said, we want to be silly. We want to have fun. And there we are. That's a silly Neil. That's Neil, the twisted light worker. Sees humor in the silliest things. Because if you're afraid to fart, you're going to live with cramps. Absolutely, you're going to live with cramps. If you're afraid to stand in your power, you're holding yourself back. You're actually living a cramped lifestyle. You want to get out there and express yourself and not be afraid of making a mistake. Not be afraid of putting your foot in your mouth. Not be afraid of making a video that could have been made better. So if you're afraid to fart, guaranteed, you're going to live with cramps. You're going to live with cramps. So what is enlightenment? What is enlightenment? What's happening here? There we are. Enlightenment, to me. Enlightenment to me. I'll just make this a little bigger so you can read it with me. Enlightenment to me is connecting to that which we always were, always are, and always will be. Going back to that, we will always be this. We will always be that man on the timeline of life with a million options of what we can do with our next minute, our next day. So enlightenment to me is connecting to that which we always were, always are, and always will be. It's a journey of accepting the magnificence of who and what we are. Once again, going back to video 1, check it out. 100 trillion cells in your body. Mind-blowing. It's a journey of connecting with our higher being, our inner light warrior. There we are. Magnifying the inner light warrior is putting on the suit of armor. It is standing in your power in the moment. Our perfect connection to Source itself, because Source is inside every one of those 100 trillion cells, keeping it alive. Think about that. The power of Source, power of God, the power of Christ, the Christ consciousness, universal power. I call it the Source. It's in this center of every single one of those cells. Source is in 100 trillion cells in your body. The power of God is who you are. And the trick is having the discipline to shut our egos off. Shut our egos off so that we can actually enjoy being in the moment. So it's a journey. It's a journey of finding our ever-expanding, authentic self. It's not simple. It takes discipline. It takes work. It takes deciding what type of person you want to become and paying the price to become that person, little by little. Don't forget to be silly. Don't take yourself so serious. That way we can do what Roosevelt said. Yeah. We get up every time we get knocked down. That's the only thing that matters, is getting up. One more time, then you get knocked down. I think I have one more picture, so let me just check that out. Yeah, I did. I put this one in the last video, and I'm putting it in this one too, because when we shift our energy from fear to power with compassion, we will find we were always loved beyond human understanding. It takes willpower to get our ego out of the way and silenced. It is not a passionate act. It's not passive. It takes effort. And if you can become compassionate about being in the moment and applying yourself to bettering yourself, to standing in the power of all that you are, knowing that source is in the center of 100 trillion cells. And every one of those cells in your body doesn't do anybody else any good but you. They're all yours. And if that isn't proof that you're loved beyond human understanding, you better take another look at video number 1. So action with the power of intent will stop the ego's chatter and lead you to freedom. Welcome to the discipline of awakening. So you see, putting on the power of God is an action step. It's a discipline. It's a practice. It's something that you do. And when you do, you become the warrior spirit. And when you become the warrior spirit empowers you and guides you. But if you're not standing in your power to begin with, you're wimping out. In the Toltec, Mark Cloudfoot Gershon, I've shared a couple of his quotes in the past video. He had a quote about taking the wimp out of the warrior spirit. Yeah. Taking the wimp out of the warrior spirit inside you. And don't be afraid to fart. You don't want to live with cramps. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you for all the people who have bought me coffee. I have a link down below for buying me a coffee. Every little $3 thing helps. And you know what? Life is such a treat. It's such a pleasure. And when I touch another person and they share with me their heart by buying me a coffee, I wish that it was in person, face to face in a coffee shop. I truly do. These videos are not as much fun as actually being eyeball to eyeball and actually experiencing the energy of the love and the compassion and the power. Go back to video 1, power. So I thank you all for taking the time to be here with me today, and I'm going to leave you with a thought. If you're afraid to fart, you're going to live with cramps. So how many moments of each day can you ask yourself, am I feeling cramped up? Whoa. I'd say let her fart, man. Let her rip. Let her rip. And with fun, I wish you all peace. I wish you all peace profound. I wish you peace profound.